Hi and welcome once again to Sven's Bricks. My name is Sven. I'm bringing you another 6 to 8 stud wide Speed Champions conversion today, and I've had a few requests for this one. I'm going to go today with the AMG, the Mercedes AMG, so let's get started. So for those of you who haven't visited the channel before, I've been working on converting the older Speed Champions 6 wide builds to the 8 stud wide versions that they're now currently going with. So far I've worked on the Mustang, the F40, the 911 and the Ford Fiesta WRC. To varying degrees of success. I think the Mustang has come out very well. I think the F40 came out well except for the front, which I'm struggling to find a better way of doing. I may revisit this one in order to get a lip on the bottom. The 911 I'm pretty happy with in grand scheme of things, and the Ford Fiesta I'm actually very happy with. I think it looks the business. And today we're going to tackle the AMG. So this should be, I'm hoping, not too difficult a conversion. It's mainly based on the 4 wide chassis piece underneath. So I have used the newer 8 wide chassis piece for the F40, and I've realised that this was a bit more difficult than using this 6 stud wide one, because this one already has pre-built studs on the side, which changes a little bit where you can put the parts on the side. So for example, this one, it actually allows you, because we're using brackets here, to get the studs on the side, it actually allows this to be, just a millimetre, literally a millimetre off the table here. Whereas if I take off the side of this and place it onto the side of here, it's actually the other way around. The chassis is actually lower down than the piece on the side, which means I'm not going to be able to get the side of the car quite as low, and also the car is going to drag. So if I move it up a stud, then the chassis is way too high off the ground. So this means that I won't be using these, or at least definitely not for this build, and I will be ordering some more of these because I think these are far easier to use for these conversions, and I may revisit my F40 in order to improve upon the design that I've come up with. So let's get started and see how we get on. So as with my previous builds, I'm going to pull apart the front first and then leave the rest of the body of the car built, in order to easily see and remember how things were. So I've just pulled the piece off for the wheels, or rather that piece off for the wheels, and then I've made my own like this. So that's pretty straightforward. Stuck the wheels on like that, and then I'm just going to add a sand coloured piece in 4 length instead. And then I've managed to detach the front section without it coming apart too much. And you can see here, this black bit sticking out here is actually the end of the pre-built chassis part. So that basically needs to, this piece needs to replace that. So there should be 3 of these sticking out, and this whole section here should be sat on it. So the red and the blue and the white, or sorry, just the blue and the white should be sat on that black bit. So I'm going to need to pull a little bit more apart here in order to get these pieces for this whole front section to sit on. Okay, and from there I've actually managed to remove the back. I've added the 8 wide wheels, so we can put these on and see how funny it looks with it sticking out like that. But it also adds a stud here and a stud there in the length of the car, which we're going to have to obviously work around. So I've still got the front bit intact and I've still got the back bit intact. I'm slowly just going to convert this middle section, I think, because I think I kind of need to have that in place in order to start working on the sides, which is normally where I begin, and then I fill in the middle. So I've built up a bit more of the frame of the chassis using these purpley pinky parts. These obviously come from Friends Lego, and I don't have much use for them because I don't find them a very useful colour. They're not very natural and don't tend to be used a lot in the builds that I work on, so I use them for interiors. that you can't see anyway. So it saves me using up black parts and grey parts that are more common colours that I use. But basically I've just added these so that they're 8 long, because on the old they were 6 long, and also brings it up a level from the old chassis piece, so that it's at the same level as these parts. And then instead of a sand coloured piece, which you can't see, I've used the purple coloured piece as well there. And then I've transferred over the steering wheel and the yellow 2x2 and the slope part. And then I'm just going to place these on, but however using black 10 long pieces rather than the 8 grey long pieces. Okay, and that ends up looking like this, which looks nothing like a Mercedes AMG. But anyway, I've run out of these bracket pieces, so I'm hoping that just moving them like this with gaps in between is going to suffice. I think it probably will do, and I'm now ready to start putting the front of the car back on. Okay, this is what we've ended up with for the top part of the bonnet. Basically, there were 2 of these slopes on top of here, and there was this 1x2 hold brick, which then sat on the rest of the front here, which is not yet converted. And I've just swapped out the parts for 2 stud wider ones. Okay, I'm just continuing to swap parts out for wider versions. So I did have 2x2 plate here. I've swapped that out for a 2x4 plate in the purple. I did have a 1x2 in the sand colour. I've swapped that out for a 1x4 in the purple colour. The only issue I've run into actually is that these are not the normal hold bricks. They're the ones with the axle pin holes in them. So I'm just going to leave those rather than extending the width of them. And then I've added in pink 1x1 bricks on the side there just for a bit of extra stability. I've added also an extra double cheese slope at the top there. And now we're ready to move on to the very front section. Obviously there's going to be an issue here because this part is 4 wide and very specific. So we're going to have to find an alternative to this piece here. So I think I'm going to start to put on the front of it and then work around that and see what looks right. I'm going to need to buy another sticker pack, I think, in order to get that yellow stripe. So I've extended the width of this part by adding in an extra one of these black studs on the side pieces. And then I've added in one of these in the middle, and then I've added 2 of these small sloped pieces in order to replace this piece, because this is now going to be too short, and I'm going to need to buy 2 sticker sets in order to replace this, I believe. And I'm going to need to cut it in the middle and extend it so that it can stretch right across the front of those 3 stickers there. So that might be a little bit tricky, but I don't see much of an alternative because we're going to want the grille to go right across there. I've then added a 2x studs on the side brick there, and I've added a purpley plate there instead of the sand coloured plate in order to be able to have 2 of the slopes here on the front. This is now going to connect under there. And this piece did sit around just one of these slopes, so the next part will be to find a way to replace this very specialised piece. Okay, this is what I come up with for now. It's probably not quite as nice because it doesn't have the angled bits at the front there, and I didn't have any 6 long tiles, so I used a 4 long tile with 2 little 1x1 tiles, but pretty straightforward. I just used the corner plates underneath there in order to be able to bring out the slopes on each end. Okay, and this is how the completed front looks. Right now it looks very, very odd. There's a sticker missing from the bottom here, which I'm going to need to try and resolve somehow. There is this yellow sticker missing from the side there, and there's these corner angles. And then most of all, there's the grille that goes on the front there. So at the moment, this looks a bit weird, but this is the outcome of the conversion so far. And this is now just going to sit in here. If I can get it in, I think I need to do it with 2 hands in order to get it right. Well, look at that. Now that I've got it on the car, it looks instantly a bit better. So yeah, we'll see. I'm still definitely going to need that grille piece at the front. It looks very, very naked without it. But that is essentially the front end done, I believe. So I've basically then split the back part into 4 sections. There's the sort of spoiler section with the very top of the back. There's the rear diffuser with the lights. There's the internal part that keeps it all together, and then there's the wheel arches, which just lifted off and went straight on. So this will be the first thing that needs to be converted, and basically we'll just be doubling the size of all of these interior structural pieces in order for that to sit in there, and then these should then follow suit. All right, and that's the outcome of that. Very straightforward. Added a 2x4 brick instead of the 2x2 brick. I basically separated these two corner plates and just added a 1x2 plate in between there. I've added an extra yellow one there. I've added a 2x4 plate on the bottom and a 1x4 plate purple color there to replace the sand colored one. And then I've added a 4x1 white brick there. And that's it. Oh, and these slopes at the top. So I just added in an extra one on each side because I didn't have any of the double black slopes. So this, I haven't even tried it yet, should just fit straight in here, I believe. And it does. Brilliant. Next will be this sort of diffuser and light section, just showing you briefly what it looks like so that you get an idea. I'll be doing the same thing here. I'll be pushing these out to the sides, these plate pieces, and then adding parts that are double the width. I'm going to need to add a second one of those black studs on the side there. And then we're going to run into the same issue here with the sticker on the back. So let's get going with this one. I'll show you at this stage what I did, probably a bit easier to see. So I've added in the 2x2 grey plate there. I've added in a 1x4 pink plate instead of the sand colour. And then I've added in on top of that a 6x1 grey on the top and a 2x4 grey plate underneath. And then I lifted off this whole black section here and just put it on. Literally just lifted it off and stuck it on the sides. So I then need to just do the same again here. I need an extra one of these black ones and then two of these pieces to complete a bigger diffuser. And there we go. The only thing missing is the sticker going across the middle. Very straightforward, this bit. I didn't unfortunately have any of these single bracket pieces, or I only had one in black, so I've just gone with a double one for now. I may end up replacing that. And then I think it would be nice to somehow try and get a sticker that goes across there. But that's that back section. Sorry, I realised that I'd actually put the studs on the side pieces here up the wrong way up. So you didn't see this pink plate here in the last shot. But I just corrected that in order for it to fit onto the back of the car. And I'm just showing you again how I've built this in case you're following along. Okay, quick progress shot. And now we're going to work on the spoiler. So I think this should be very, very straightforward. I probably barely need to show you what I'm doing. I'll add a 2x6 plate underneath there. I'll add a couple more slopes on the sides at the bottom there. I'll add an extra double cheese slope there and an extra tile or lengthen that tile. And then I'll double the length of the spoiler. And again, we will need a new sticker. Okay, and this is how it ended up. I don't have any 1x8 tiles, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to live with 1x6 until I get a bricklink order. But I'm going to need to order a couple of parts anyway and a sticker sheet or 2 sticker sheets. So that can sit there for the time being. But I think the back came out pretty good. The only extra bit that I added really was this little 1x2 dark grey tile underneath there because it kind of left a bit of a big gap there. These bits sit at an angle, which means that you can't cover the black studs there and there, which is the same as the original model. But there was white studs underneath there because I was using a white part instead of black. I think it looked better to cover it with that grey. So we're going to move on to the sides now. Right, I'm going to leave the build here because I'm going to need a couple more parts. I'm going to need a new sticker pack. And here we have the completed model after my bricklink order arrived and a couple of sticker sheets arrived to complete the look. So just to run you through quickly what the change is. I've put in these angled slopes at the front here in order to bring the front bonnet in a bit more. I've cut I've basically doctored 2 of these stickers to make it into one long one by cutting it here and then putting in little extensions in between and then putting these back on the outside here. It's not perfect, especially if I was to zoom in a little bit. You'll see that it's not perfect. You may be able to do a better job than me, but I think at a glance it does the job. I'm pretty happy with it. And then I've cut up these yellow ones in order to fit going down the length of the car. Now, I did try putting in yellow tiles here instead of the stripes, but I think this looks a little bit better. Yeah, just a little bit better. I decided to leave the door stickers as they were. I think that they do the job, and I didn't want to start putting them halfway down. This bit here on the original car really does tuck in behind the wheel arch there, and I think it would look strange if I was to start putting this at the back there. Really what you need is this bit in particular to be 6 studs long in order to cover that whole section for it to be accurate. But I'm also happy with the way that looks. I think it's absolutely fine. I then put in, just as I did with the Mustang, I've put in black 1x1 bricks in there, and then put a plate and then tiles across the top there in order to extend the back of the car. And then I put in some black plates in the cockpit in order to cover up the holes that were there and the pink parts. And then I've just put in a little bit here to just to add a bit of detail, a bit of fun, a little space tile in there just for a bit of fun. At the back here, I've added a 8 long tile, and then I've put on a new sticker. I think it looks good enough. I think ideally the AMG and the stripes would stretch out the whole width, but I think it's good enough. Finally, at the back here, I have added just the little sticker, just as it was on the original car. I couldn't think of a way to extend the width of 6 studs, so I just left that one the way that it was, to be honest. And that is the completed car. I think I've covered everything that I've done. I'm pretty happy with this one. I think it's pretty good. Let me know what you think. I'd really love to hear what you think, actually. And if there's any other designs that you'd like me to cover, I've got a couple more coming in the post soon, I hope. So stay tuned for more of these videos. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.